Hey there, YouTube. We're back again today for more of our Origins Bonanza coverage. We're here live at Origins 2017 with David from Obscure Reference Games, also one of the co-creators of Overlords of Infamy. So what is Overlords of Infamy, David?
Overlords of Infamy is a ridiculously silly game where you are an evil overlord with the goal of making everyone as miserable as possible. So how are you going to do this? You send your lackeys out to collect resources for you to complete nefarious plots that range from things such as making everyone's socks slightly damp, or blanketing the region in glitter, or throttling internet speeds to 56K. That one's particularly mean, I know. Each overlord's going to have 6 lackeys that they could send out to do their bidding. They start the game with 3 of them. Just to give an idea, I guess I'll be green. So you start with your lackeys in your barracks, and everybody gets a nefarious plot to choose from. So if you want to choose one that you like.
Let's see. Produce an addictive, drawn-out television program, then cancel it before the finale.
Yeah.
Abolish breakfast. I feel like that one's way more evil. Yeah, I want to do that.
Abolishing breakfast?
No,
okay.
The TV show.
So in a normal game, you would put this face down on your active plot on your playmat there, and that would be hidden from everybody. Now, there are ways that other overlords can see what you're working on, and thus they might be able to block you, stop you from getting certain resources that you need. That comes a little bit later during the espionage phase. So at the bottom of the card, it actually tells you the resources that you'll need to collect. For the knavery plots, all of them require 3 resources. So in your case, you need to collect 3 spark tech. Those are these little batteries here. And these are all wooden pieces. There's 10 of each of them. They are a finite resource during the game, so you have to make sure that you get what you need before other people block you out of it, or else you might have to steal from them or wait until they complete their plot, and you can get them back in the general supply there as I knock them all over myself. So during a normal turn, there's 4 phases. The first phase is called the hero phase. You look to see if the world tension tracker right here has landed on or past the 3, 6, or 9 during the previous player's turn. If it did, you get to roll the die and then move the adventuring hero that many spaces. So in this case, we move the adventuring hero 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3, and he can guard that double rainbow there. So while he's there,
It's a double rainbow!
What does it mean? Yeah. While he's there, you can't exploit the land or put your lackeys there if you need to. If there was a map tile there, let's just say that you built out a little bit. Oh, that's an interesting one I'll point out in a second. Let's say that you had exploited the land out this far and you had some water there, and you would put a lackey out there to go collect some water. I rolled a 3, so the hero could go 1, 2, 3, and he'll murder your lackey in cold blood, so it's removed from the game. And then he moves back to the center, and he takes with him a spoil of war, the water resource that the lackey was standing on. Now, if he goes there and there's no lackey, he can simply liberate the tile by burning it to the ground. Don't ask me how you burn a lake to the ground. But he'd also run back with the same result. He'd get that resource. If the hero ever enters your lair, you lose half of your resources. And if you have collected any of these relics, he takes them back with him. So that's one of the reasons why you might want to defend yourself, such as putting down a pitfall. So if the hero lands on a pitfall tile, I know it looks a little bit like a Sarlacc pit from Star Wars. If he lands on that, you actually put him on his side to show that he has fallen in. And he doesn't stand up or move until the next time it would land on the 3, 6, or 9. You stand him up, and then the following time, you'd get to move him. So it's a little bit defensive for you. It's kind of keeps people from going into your area. So that's the hero. Since it's the first turn of the game, we will not be moving the hero, but we have 3 actions that are available to us every turn. 3 action points to spend on any of these actions that are listed here. Everybody gets one of these turn reference sheets. The common actions are the ones that you're going to use most often, so you'll probably want to look at those for now. In my case, I don't have available to me... Oh, yes, I do. I have something available to me that I need. I need some food. So I'm going to send a lackey from my barracks to this space on my lair and collect 1 food resource. Okay, that was my first move. Anytime that you harvest a resource or recruit a lackey or complete a plot, you move forward roll tension by 1. So I have 2 more actions available to me. I'm going to exploit the land. What that means is I get to take 2 map tiles from any of these stacks. It really doesn't matter which one you grab from. They're just there for ease of use. And you're going to choose one of them to keep and one of them to put at the bottom of the stack. So this one is another defensive tile. I'll show you here. It's got a wall on it. any side of the tile that has a wall, the adventuring hero can't move through. So it only affects the adventuring hero. Your lackeys can move through it just fine. Still don't have what I need, so I'm going to exploit the land one more time. And I'll go there. So that's going to be my 3 actions. And that would end my action phase. Next would be the espionage phase, but nobody qualifies for espionage yet, so we're just going to skip that. And then it's the end phase. So now it's your turn.
Okay.
So during your turn, again, we start with the hero phase. You look to see if the world tension tracker landed on or past the 3, 6, or 9, which it did not. So you go straight into your action phase, and you have 3 action points to spend. So what I always recommend is go ahead and, oops, you're supposed to have that third lackey. Go ahead and look at your plot and see what you need. And if you remember, we need 3 spark tech.
3 light bulbs, spark tech.
You don't have those available to you right now on your lair. You have a village, and you have a lake where you can go get water.
I'm going to guess that I'm, let's see, harvest resource. Yeah, how do I get that?
You're going to want to exploit the land, which means you're going to take 2 map tiles from any of these stacks.
Do I get to look at them?
You get to look at both of them. 2 from 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go right here. Let's see.
So did you find something you need?
A miss.
Okay, so you
Is it
still
secret?
you still have to put 1 down. It's secret, yeah,
Okay.
normally, but it's fine.
Don't look.
So you still have to put 1 down, but if you look at the board, there's resources printed on the board in these red areas. These are contested areas that you share with your opponents. Okay, so if you see right here, this is what you need. So if you put one of these down here and then another one here, you'll be touching both of these from this space, and you can go to either one of those.
Now, would that be an action to place it down, or is that just the exploit the land action?
Exploring the land is looking at 2 and putting 1 down. It's all 1 action.
What do I do with the remaining?
Goes at the bottom of that map tile stack.
Okay, so I might exploit the land again,
You could certainly do that.
and we'll just pretend I got
Sure,
the carrot.
sure. Okay, so now that was your second turn, so during your third action, you might want to take a lackey and, oops, put it over here on the contested area, which will again move forward the world tension tracker by 1 and get you the resource that you need.
And I can do that. I can move as far as I want as long as my area is connected.
Correct. So you can go to anywhere within your zone of influence that you have a tile, and anywhere in the contested area where you're adjacent with a tile. So that would be only these 2 spots currently.
Okay.
All right. Now, if you're touching the Kingdom of Good, which would be either of these 2 spots for you, either of these for me, then you can enter the Kingdom of Good and collect a relic if you need it. The relics are for villainy plots and domination plots, but they're
it's a
also
castle.
worth points at the end of the game. What was that?
It's a castle.
Yeah, it's
I didn't realize that.
it's
That's
totally
cool.
a castle. Yeah.
Sorry, distracted.
No, that's quite all right. We love the art. So that is one of the reasons why you touch the Kingdom of Good, but it also puts you adjacent to your to anyone else who's touching the Kingdom of Good. So if I had exploited the land here and you had exploited the land here, we're considered adjacent for the purpose of espionage. Espionage is the 3rd phase. That comes after your actions. It's on the reverse side of your turn reference sheet. And based on your level of infamy, we're currently all level infamy level 1, you can do an espionage action on your opponent. For example, remember how I told you that your plot is hidden? The level 1 espionage action is called Glean Intel. As long as you have a single lackey in your barracks, you may look at the plot of your target. You can't tell anyone else what it is, but you can look at it. So when it gets to things like villainy and domination, and you learn something that they need, like you might grab a relic that they need to complete their plot because there's only 1 of each relic, or you might try to block off the resources that they need so it stops them from completing a plot. So there is player interaction, not enough to make you want to flip the table, but just enough to give you a small leg up.
Now, is there any other way for players to get that relic they might need aside from the Brave Adventure?
So the only way to get a relic is either stealing it from the Kingdom of Good, or if somebody else has the relic that you need, the level 3 espionage action is called Plunder Resources. You can potentially steal from them and take that relic. But there's only 1 shot of doing that. Yeah, Assassinate's level 5. That one's a better version of the Infiltrate action, which I'll explain in a second. So we come back to my turn now in this 2-player game. And again, has not passed the World Tension Trackers 3, 6, or 9. So I'm going to continue by sending a lackey out to get this food resource. And that does move forward the World Tension to 3. So during your turn, you're going to get to move the Adventuring Hero. I'm going to exploit the land again. And this time I did get what I need. So that was my second action. For my third action, I'm going to take my last lackey from my barracks and go collect Conjure Ore, which is magic rocks. So my plot required that I have 2 food, which I put back, and 1 Conjure Ore, which I put back. And now in my best evil Overlord voice, I have to read what I've just done as my evil plot. I have reminded mothers how rarely their children call. And the flavor text says, you know she'll just be sitting by the phone worrying that you're not eating well. Oy vey. So, that is completing a plot. And anytime that you complete a plot, that also moves forward the world tension tracker. So we're at 5 now. So, after I've completed my plot, what else do we do? I move forward my infamy level to 2. And that's, let me try that again. They're color-coded, so at 1 and 2, you can only take knavery level plots. At 3 and 4, you can take villainy. At 5, you can take domination or any of the ones before. As soon as you complete your plot, you instantly grab 2 and choose 1. And I got to take that one on principle alone. So this is going to go back at the bottom of the stack here. And then the next turn, I would start working on this plot, because I'm all done with my actions. So next would be the espionage phase, but again, we're not touching, so we can't do espionage yet. If you were touching anywhere on this contested area, or if you're touching the Kingdom of Good, since I'm now touching the Kingdom of Good, then we could do espionage against each other. But since you're not touching, we can't do that yet. So that is a basic turn. Actually, let's go to your turn so you can move the hero. So
All right.
During your turn, the hero phase, you now get to roll the die and move the adventuring hero. 3 spaces.
All right.
So you can kill one of my 2 lackeys. As soon as you hit one, he stops moving.
And this one I destroy your land, right?
No, only if it's unattended.
Okay.
He gets winded after killing lackeys, so he has to run back.
Yeah, it goes home.
Yeah. So this lackey's completely destroyed. He runs back home, and because the lackey was standing on Conjure Ore, he takes the Conjure Ore back with him. Now, if you're playing with the Hero's Quest, this is a variable rule here. He might need Conjure Ore for one of the plots that he's completing, the quests that he's completing, like hosting the annual Kingdom Bake-Off requires 1 Conjure Ore, 1 food, and 1 scrap. So if he ever gets those resources, he would complete this quest, which makes things harder for the Overlords. But this is a variant rule, and it's also how you do the 1-player and the 5-player game. So it's optional, and I don't recommend it for your first game if nobody's played yet. Other than that, you move the hero. You now have your 3 actions to...
I have a question.
Yes.
If there's, say, 2 goods there and I go there, do I steal both of them or do I steal 1?
So, if the hero is not in the center, which means he's somewhere else, as long as he's not in the center, if you're touching the Kingdom of Good, you may spend 2 actions. You lose the lackey because they get caught throwing things over the wall when they steal it. You can take from the adventuring hero resources equal to your infamy level. So you'd be able to take 1 resource now. If I was to do it, I could take 2 because I'm level 2. So the most you'll ever be able to take from him is 5.
Okay.
That also really makes him angry, though, so world tension would increase by 3 if you do that.
Now what happens when it gets to 10?
A world event. So let's pretend that we got to 10. A world event happens, and it says, Moisture in the Metalworks. The Overlords with the most scrap discards all of their scrap. So these could be good, they could be bad, they could do nothing at all. Like, for example, the home team 1. Overlords may not harvest nor recruit a lackey from any map tile that contains a lackey resource until their next turn. Overlords may still harvest resources and recruit lackeys from their lairs. So the point, I live in Los Angeles, and when the Lakers won several years ago, there were riots and things got destroyed. That's what this is channeling. So things like that. Sometimes there are good plots, like Bountiful Harvest makes it any time that you harvest a resource, you get 2 of that resource instead of 1. And then there are other things that do nothing, like Solar Eclipse. It literally does nothing. It says this does nothing. Another thing that we didn't really touch upon is each Overlord has their own special abilities. So, for example, Waffles has Fetch. During each of their turn, the end of Waffles' turn, the end phase, that's after Espionage, if he has not harvested a resource during his turn, at the end he may send a lackey out to harvest a resource for him. So if he spent his turn recalling his lackeys back to his barracks or exploiting the land, then at the end, he doesn't fall that far behind as he can still get a resource towards his plot.
You said there's 11 characters, correct?
There's 11.
Nice.
And one more thing is they all have an affinity. So anytime that you harvest a resource, or in Waffles' case, recruit a lackey that matches your affinity, you get 2 of that resource or lackey instead of 1.
Okay.
So it gives you a little bit of a leg up with, in your case, water plots. In my case, I get additional lackeys, so I could see them as more expendable. But they're pretty expendable to begin with. But
Okay.
that's Overlords of Infamy in a nutshell. The plots do get harder as you go on. For example, villainy plots, this one requires 5 resources, but it's worth 10 points. And it also has an aftermath, which can be a game-changing effect. Now, they're not as strong in villainies as they are at domination. For example, merge natural disasters with marine predators. That one's worth 18 points. It's quite a few more resources that are required, and then you can make your own Sharknado. So things like that. That is Overlords of Infamy, and yeah.
And when's it coming out?
Overlords of Infamy is on the boat right now from the factory. It's available for pre-order on our website, obscurereferencegames.com or overlordsofinfamy.com. We also have a booth here at Origins where you can pre-order it. Game should be shipping by mid to end of next month, so that's July.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Overlords of Infamy coming from Obscure Reference Games later this year. It looks like it might be a cup of tea. Be sure to check that out. If you're enjoying this Origins coverage, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.